Welcome back to Welsh Miniature Board Gamer, and today we're going to have an unboxing and review of these Frostgrave gnolls. Now this is quite an old kit now. It was one of the first ones to be released for Frostgrave, so yeah, it's been sort of kicking around for quite a few years. It isn't even the first time that I have had a few of these miniatures. I had a sprue when I bought something else. I had a free sprue of gnolls given to me, so yeah, and at that point I must admit I wasn't terribly keen. But let's have a look at what I think of the actual sprues once I have made them up and I've had a bit more play around with them. So this is the Frostgrave gnolls, and there are 28mm hard plastic miniatures made by the North Star military figures, like all of Frostgrave's miniatures are, and it comes in the usual packaging. So first of all, you have these Renedra bases, which are perfectly serviceable. I quite like them. No problem with Renedra bases. They don't warp, etc., and they're kind of no frills. They give you exactly what you need. So you have 4 sprues, which are identical, although it does take me a moment to figure that one out. So it's got 4 sprues with 5 gnolls on each sprue. 2 of which are cut off at the waist so that you can rotate their poses, I suppose, slightly. Although, really, I don't understand why they've done that. Rotating the waists can only go so far before it looks rather comical and like someone's been twisted. But yeah, it's also got these sort of bulbous head sockets that stick out like a knuckle, I suppose, and the emptied out shallowed head to fit onto the bodies. Now there are 2 bow options on this kit. There's a bunch of hand weapons, packages, 2 shields, dual knives, so if you wanted them to carry a knife in each hand, they can. There are 2 two-handed weapon options, and a bunch of standard one-hand weapons, axes, Morningstar, or flail if you will, axe, swords, two-handed swords, two-handed axe, I believe, yes, a crossbow, and like I said, 2 bows. So you can make any sort of mix-up that you want to of Frostgrave or Rangers of Shadow Deep type of gnolls. So personally, I'm going to make up 7 archers, 3 champions, 1 shaman, and 9 soldiers out of this kit, because that seems to be about right for me. I think for Rangers of Shadow Deep, that's kind of the perfect mix. There are 10 heads, so obviously you can switch the heads around. So once I've actually glued up 5 of them, I come back and show you here. And yeah, I don't mind them as much as I used to. I used to have a terrible problem with these miniatures, and I can't think why. I don't mind them. The only slight problem I do have with the way the head connects to the neck is it gives them this sort of empty space at the back of the head, like here, which makes them look a little bit like that dinosaur that spits in Jurassic World or Jurassic Park, etc. It's like he's got frills instead of the fur being connected to the neck. That's maybe my problem with them last time. It was maybe that I don't like the way that joins, but we can see whether we can improve on that. Maybe in my next video when I do the kit bashing, I'll see if I can blend it in a little bit better and hide the fact that the knuckle doesn't really tuck into the head brilliantly. So the arms are kind of generic arms. They could be human arms. They're not. You can't see any sign of any hair or shagginess about them. I can see why they've done that. It's so that they can mix and match with other kits from the Frostgrave, Oathmark, Rangers of Shadow Deep, etc. kits. But I kind of would have liked to have a bit more like hair on them, because these are like hyena type gnoll dog people or whatever they are. So I would have liked to have seen a little bit more hair on the arms, and maybe it would have made it slightly less kit bashable. But I think I would have liked to my gnolls to look, you know, a little bit more shaggy, you know, in the arms, etc. But saying that, I can see why they didn't go that way and decided they wanted to go for this sort of multi-part swap in whatever kit you want to, which, like I said, will be up in my next video where I will kit bash these miniatures and see if we can indeed use other Frostgrave or Oathmarker parts on them. So let's get them painted and see what I think. So here is what I would consider a champion, because he's carrying a two-handed weapon, or a sergeant if you are playing Rangers of Shadowdeep. And yeah, he painted up really quite nicely, actually. I don't have a real problem with the sculpts anymore. The legs, some of the legs aren't cast or moulded brilliantly. They're very thick, and you kind of have to disguise the fact that by there you can see on the back of it, one leg is really a lot wider than the other leg, so that's a bit of a sculpting problem, I think. But all in all, I'm kind of pleased with how they turned out. I've used this red sort of colour scheme to sort of join them all up with my cultists, so that they're all going to have a uniform colour, even if it is only like just a splash of it to show, you know, that they are the bad guys and that they are somehow connected to the cultists, etc. So that was the Gnoll Sergeant. Now we have one of the Gnoll... Hang on, I will find it. There you go. One of the Gnoll Soldiers. So in Rangers of Shadowdeep, Gnoll Soldiers don't carry shields, they only carry a hand weapon, so I specifically didn't give them any hand weapons if they are meant to be just a soldier. And yeah, they painted up really nice. They took paint well, as you know, as all of the Rangers of Shadowdeep and Frostgrave plastics do. North Star military figures paint plastics are really nice to take paint to. Bases, I went sort of basic, just a bit of cover flocking with some, you know, scattered rocks, etc. It looks kind of right for what gnolls are, you know, sort of running around the, you know, steeps or whatever you want to call them, you know, and that sort of fits in. So like I said, this guy's got his red insignia, if you will, to show whose team he's on. He's also with his blue undergarments, just to, you know, give a bit of a visual punch. He's kind of the brightest one that I've done of these gnolls, and I think maybe a bit too bright. I don't see gnolls wearing awfully bright colours. I don't know why. Maybe gnolls like wearing bright party clothes, but I don't personally see them wearing bright colours, so that one was probably a little bit over the top for me. But this guy, yeah, I like him. Again, bowman, nothing wrong with the stance. This one's, I think this was one of the two-part miniatures, and he's sort of like running along with his bow, etc. And I've done him with the green and that sort of dirty, yellowy, browny, who knows what colour originally it might have been type colour for that sort of skirt that he's wearing. So on to the next one. So this one I really like the way this one turned out. I like the cloth face mask that they're wearing. I quite like the colours. I think that sort of, again, we've gone for that dingy sort of nondescript colour. You know, if a colour can be nondescript, that is what nondescript colour is. And this green, which sort of blends in with their sort of, you know, surroundings, etc. A lot of my Rangers of Shadowdeep characters have got this green, so, you know, in my lore, in my head, it's kind of an easy colour for them to make for some reason. But no, I've given this guy a knife to go in his opposite hand. He is just a soldier, but, you know, if I wanted to use him as something special, I could say, well, because he's got the knife in his hand also, he is something, you know, extra. So for a size comparison, I've only got the Frostgrave automaton around, but he's roughly human size, and you can see, yeah, they are human size for the Oathmark range of miniatures, and the Frostgraves, Frostgrave, Rangers of Shadowdeep, etc. So what is my thoughts on these miniatures? Have I changed my mind over the years that I've not seen them? Yeah, I think I have actually. I don't mind these miniatures anywhere near as much as I used to. I still have that problem with that void at the back of the ears and the back where the head joins the neck. I wish there was somehow a different way that they could have got them to join. But, you know, apart from that, it's not really that big a frustration for me. I would have liked the arms to have a little bit more hair on them, as they are like canine dog people, hyenas, whatever, you know, so I would have liked them to be a bit more hairy, but I understand why they didn't do that. So if you've liked this video, please leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment below, and I do reply to every single comment. But until next time, it's going to be goodbye from me, Welsh Miniature Board Gamer.